even if they're not that proud of us. That's us. Aw. Me and Matt Berger. Not Van's not here. Robert's not been here for a while. It's Friday, Albuquerque. You know what that means? Well, that means the boys are like a week away from Memorial Day weekend, so it's like that weird dead weekend before Memorial Day weekend where they sneak in a horse race, but no one cares about the horse race because horse racing's lost the prestige that it had so many years ago. Also, the PGA Championships going on. Also, the NBA playoffs are going on. Also, everything is trumped because Van's not here. That's right. Van Nunley not here. I am Fred Slow in the station. The John Lopez Real Estate and Coldwell Banker Legacy Studio is Steph Griffin. Steph, I hope you are well. I'm introducing my old co-host, formerly of the Heavy Hitters of 590 The Fan in beautiful and historic St. Louis, Missouri. Matt Berger, welcome to the program, brother. How are you?
Reunited, and it feels so good. The Heavy Hitters. The Heavy Hitters back in action.
Oh, man. Some years ago, you and I graced Drive Time in St. Louis, Missouri, and we had a lot of fun doing it while we were doing it. Yeah, we laughed a lot.
How many different incarnations of the Heavy Hitters did we have?
Oh, my God, dude. We went through them, right? So there was the sports.
I'm still going through them.
Yeah, still going through them. You and I were the fit for some time, and then a handful of different co-hosts in and out. But I mean, we were talking St. Louis Cardinals, we were talking St. Louis Blues, we were talking at the time St. Louis Rams. You and I were on air when the Rams announced that they were leaving St. Louis, which was like a crazy thing. That was crazy.
It seems like that was just like a lifetime ago, and it really wasn't that long ago. It was only like 6-7 years.
Isn't that nuts? Yeah, June 1st is my Vaniversary with Albuquerque, so that's my 6th year in Albuquerque. 4 years on the radio after I, like you, try to quit the business every couple of years, but it keeps dragging me back in. We got a bunch of sports and sports-related content to go over today, including the passing of an NFL legend, NBA playoffs. We already talked a little bit about golf and everything that surrounds it. I'll try to sneak in more football than just this sad Jim Brown story, which we will hit on immediately. We will wrap up the show with the varsity, and then you will step aside at 7 o'clock, Matt, and joining me will be Josh Sushan as he's broadcasting the Isotopes game today, weather permitting. Griff, you're an amateur meteorologist. What's the weather like in Albuquerque right now? Love that. I am traversing this great country, coming back from St. Louis, Missouri, from seeing my father. I know a lot of our friends of the show have been a part of that conversation we've been having all air. I'll say it like I said every single episode. Get your colonoscopy. Take your time right now from your busy lives. I know how you are. I know a lot of people rely on you, friend of the show. I know you provide for many, and often you overlook providing for yourself. Do reach out to your primary care physician. Schedule your colonoscopy today if you're at an age when it is so accustomed for you to do so, and take care of yourself. My father currently, Matt, through his first round of chemotherapy, and I'm not one to say positive things if I don't know positive things, but I'll tell you this, he's on the right track. He's doing the right thing.
That's good.
So my father underway. So big shout out to my dad, Randall. Love him greatly. I'm currently in Oklahoma City, making my way over to Albuquerque. Excited to be back for the weekend. I'll be in studio on Monday. We are out and about in the community. Tuesday, I think we're at somewhere. Wednesday, we're throwing out the first pitch at Isotopes Park. That's going to be a lot of fun. Thursday, we're going to be live from the historic El Rey Theater as Duke City Championship Wrestling has its inaugural match night. So we're excited to bring pro wrestling back to the city of Albuquerque. That's going to be an absolute blast. And then Friday, I have to head up to Denver for the NCAA Track and Field National Championships. Van will be headlining the show, so it's going to be a lot of fun this upcoming week. All right, Matt. You and I talked NFL for about a million years. You and I talk a lot of social everything for as long as we could, and there's not a bigger combination of NFL and social activism and rights than Jim Brown. Jim Brown today is passed at the age of 87, one of the greatest football players, but even one of the most greater people of all time. Matt, how did Jim Brown hit you as a football fan in your youth?
Oh, well, I mean, he long retired before I started watching football,
Right.
but everything I heard about Jim Brown was how he retired too early. He was dominant. I think he averaged like 6 yards a carry, something ridiculous like that. I mean, he was unstoppable and retired early so he could go to Hollywood and become an actor. He starred in movies like The Dirty Dozen, I Station Zebra, The Running Man. I mean, that's the first movie I remember seeing. When I hear Jim Brown, I actually think of The Running Man. I think he was Fireball. He was the guy with the blowtorch.
Right.
But another interesting thing about Jim Brown is that he was part of the civil rights movement back in the '60s. There was that iconic picture of like him and Muhammad Ali and Bill Russell and I think at the time Lou Alcindor, now Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, at some place down in Miami. And now Jim Brown was kind of known for being a Trump supporter. So he was kind of went on one end of the political spectrum onto the other. I know there were a lot of people when he was in the White House, when Donald Trump was president, there were a lot of people who were upset with him for being in that White House and having court with the 45th president of the United States. But rest in peace, Jim Brown, a football player, one of the all-time greats. And what a lot of people don't know about Jim Brown, he also was a very good lacrosse player when he was at Syracuse.
Oh, who knew? Yeah, I wouldn't have got
Yeah,
that one.
All-American.
The reason I was talking about the activism is because it so often happens when people of notoriety or celebrity or fame, they pass, you're also going to get that other part of the conversation, right? You're going to get the scumbag aspect part of the conversation.
Yeah.
And people are going to talk about like he had a little bit of a checkered past. Obviously, there was some arrests in his life and there were some things going on. I am one to give flowers. I am one at the time when flowers are necessary. I give them the due. I'm also a fan of honesty, Matt, but I feel that honesty comes with timing. And I don't necessarily know if this is the appropriate timing for that laundry list of things that you could say are not pro Jim Brown. But they do exist. They are out there in the atmosphere, and people are checkered, my man.
Oh, well, I mean, you can't tell the story of Elvis without talking about Fat Elvis. You can't tell the story of Skinny Elvis without telling the story of Fat Elvis. So you're absolutely right. But I mean, the man is a legend. He's an icon. He just passed. You don't want to be that person who, after the helicopter accident that claimed the life of Kobe Bryant and his daughter and the 6 other passengers of the helicopter, to remind everybody that Kobe Bryant was up on sexual assault charges like 20 years ago. You don't want to be that person.
Oh, you're right, Matt. And that's what I was going to say, too. I think it's okay to feel complicated feelings.
Absolutely, because people are complicated.
Yeah. And how difficult it is, now in this atmosphere, in this world we live in, to be able to say, hey, this is actually shades of gray, because you want to be so I am right and you are wrong, regardless of your opinion or the opposition one. And I just don't necessarily know how fitting that always is. I think your Kobe Bryant example is a really good example, though, because you can celebrate those that deserve to be celebrated without chastising them for their past actions. Now, I'm not going to say that slate exists without, because it's absolutely there and it's relevant. But it's do you need to necessarily put a megaphone in front of that person talking right now? I don't think you need to.
No, and let's overall, most people are good. So after they've passed, let's try to remember the good. We can do a deeper dive on Jim Brown's life at another time. The same thing kind of happened after Bill Russell passed away. Now, Bill Russell doesn't have the same kind of checkered past that Jim Brown did. But Bill Russell, a lot of people, they see Bill Russell and he looks like, somebody's grandpa or the old man that you would see at the coffee shop every now and then or whatever. Bill Russell did not have a reputation of being a very nice person to either other players in the NBA, players that came after him in the NBA, or just the general public. Bill Russell did not have a great reputation of being a nice guy. And that people really didn't start talking about that until well after he had passed.
Yeah, that's an interesting one too, because I think whenever you rise to your claim of fame, which is what? That's your art, right? And if you create your art, you're an artist. And is it possible to always separate those things? It's not. But I think for some reason, and maybe it's my profession, or maybe it's because I live in the world of sports, but I don't do this well with musicians. Like, if you were to talk to me about like an R. Kelly or like a Michael Jackson, or I'm just naming the obvious ones because there's no reason to go further in explanation. I really struggle with those guys. I can't separate those things. But then for some reason, when it does come to like a Jim Brown or a Bill Russell or Kobe Bryant or we're from St. Louis, Missouri. Bobby Hall just passed away not long ago. Like whenever it comes to like these athletes, I for some reason I'm like, give it a little bit of time. And I'm like, I don't understand why I'm so differential in that opinion, because they all kind of stand publicly in the same spotlight.
And I'm kind of like the opposite of you. Like when it comes to like musical artists, sometimes I can compartmentalize. If I hear The Way You Make Me Feel on the radio, I don't care. I'm going to sing along to it. Same thing. Like I think Ted Nugent is about as vile a human being as it gets. If I hear Stranglehold or Cat Scratch Fever, I'm cranking it. I don't care. I can separate the artist from the person. I can't compartmentalize. And I think a lot of times people in society, I think you're seeing people really struggle with this, especially a younger generation. They want everybody to be perfect. They think that everybody is born as this completed subject. Like you don't grow as a person. I mean, Fred, I'm considerably older than when you are. I'm 46. I'm staring right at 50. It's not going to be that far off. I mean, there are times when like people go to your Facebook memories and look at the stuff you posted like 10 years ago, 11. You're going to be like, why did I think that was funny? Why did I think that was interesting? How many people have ever said, I can't believe I wore that? I can't believe I thought that. I can't believe I said that. I can't believe I used to listen to that. We're all like that. Nobody is a perfect product coming right out of the womb.
Well, I think what's interesting about that concept too is because I live, of a moral code to where it's as long as you're not harming yourself or you're harming others, you're fine. You can be a doofus, you can be an idiot, you can have weird hobbies, you can do whatever. But some of these people we're talking about here, they've harmed others, and you having like a dumb opinion on a rock album that was no good. You and I used to do a bit where I'd say Weird Al Yankovic was the greatest rock and roll artist of all time.
Yeah, you did.
And you would say, no, he's not. And I'm sure that is snuck into social media at some point. And you're like, what am I talking about? Weird Al is the greatest artist of all time.
I know people who will make the solid argument that Weird Al Yankovic belongs in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
That's me. That's 100% me. How can you have one band for the entirety of your career that can play every genre of music, entertain tens of thousands of people in a single evening, and then walk off and do the exact same thing tomorrow night? Greatest of all time. And songwriter. Thank you, Griff.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I'm not saying that he's not a talented guy, but I mean, he falls under, to me, he's more of a comedian than he is a musician. He's not a musician who's a comedian.
Hey, that's why I'll never get in a Broadcast Hall of Fame, because I'm more of a comedian than a broadcaster.
Okay, well, the radio Hall of Fame was like in someone's basement in Chicago. There's something more overrated than that. If Howard Stern can reject the Radio Hall of Fame, I'm not saying I'm above Howard Stern.
That's touche. Also, any organization that wants to have me. That's the old Groucho Marx.
There you go.
Today's I-9 Varsity, Griff. This is going to be a good one. Matt just brought this one up to me, and I'm gonna put it in stone. Today's I-9 Varsity is the I-9 Varsity of terrific art, terrible artists. So we will do that today. Matt, we will introduce you to your very first varsity segment. For those that are not familiar with the varsity, it's a Mount Rushmore segment. I mean, it's the best of the best kind of segment. So today's I-9 Varsity, which we will hold before the end of the program, probably the 5:45 slot, so we can end on a note. The 5:45 slot, so we can end on a note. We will have terrific art, terrible artists. That's today's I-9 Varsity. We're gonna have a lot of fun with that.
Like terrible as a person, or just terrible as an artist, and they just found some way to make something good one time.
However you interpret it, that's what we'll go with.
All right.
You're over here like, Charles Manson created cool spiders with his hair. The passing of
Adolf Hitler was an author.
Say so many every time something weird comes up. We're going to step away a minute early, Griff, so we can come back and talk a little bit about the NBA. There was a big basketball game last night. There's a bigger basketball game tonight. We're going to have a lot of fun with that. As I mentioned, we will go over the PGA Championship. I believe Bryson DeChambeau is still currently playing unless the rain has stopped. I'll pull up that and give live updates on the return. Happy Friday, everyone. I hope it's a payday for you. Whenever we get back, more 2 Men On 95.9 FM and AM 610, the Sports Animal. Good job. Good job, Matt.
Yeah, it was fun.
I just got to Oklahoma City, right? And I have the Tinder app. I'm getting like a million notifications of people. Like,
Are you really?
I'm like, I need to turn this thing off. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm gonna be here about the length of this show, and then I'm gonna leave town.
I can't remember the last time I don't think I even have Tinder on my phone anymore.
I was watching the game last night at this sports bar.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, in this hotel lobby I was staying at yesterday,
Okay.
and this like gal was like, "Hey, can I watch the game with you?" I'm like, "Yeah, whatever." And we ended up hitting it off pretty well. Anyways, long story short, like because we're both in our late 30s, we start making
Mm-hmm.
out, but she smokes cigarettes. So
Okay.
so in this moment right now, drinking this Coca-Cola, it still tastes like cigarettes.
And like seeing people who smoke, it's almost like seeing when people drive like a Hummer. You're like, really? Still
Yeah,
smoking?
why? Why?
Why? I think right now I can think of maybe two people I know of that smoke, that still smoke like cigarettes. Almost everybody else I know either vapes or quit
Yeah.
altogether.
When I was in St. Louis helping my dad, I went to lunch with you remember Lindsay Peterman? I was
Yeah.
yeah, so we went to lunch and we were in Soulard and we were sitting on like a patio next to an alley, and that
Okay.
alley was half gravel, half cigarette butts. I mean,
Probably the kitchen staff. The kitchen staff usually smokes a lot.
oh, got to be, yeah, good call. I didn't even think about that.
How is Lindsay Peterman? I haven't seen her in years.
Um, you know, we have talked every so often about figuring it out, like, and
Oh,
we,
really?
yeah, and we don't, but yeah, we connect every so often, and she's still in St. Louis, and I'm still in
Yeah.
Albuquerque, and
Yeah.
um, but I don't know if two people on this earth have more love for each other than we do, and how fortunate we are to have crossed paths, and
Yeah.
yeah,
You never know. One of these days.
you're right. And I mean, we always have these, so
That's hilarious. Oh, guess who I see? Guess who I see at the gym
who's
almost
that?
every day?
Who's that?
Patrick.
Oh
Patrick
yeah,
Blair. Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
How's he doing?
He's doing well. He still works at Wells Fargo. He got married, has two kids.
Oh, good for him.
Yeah, he's got two boys. One boy is 2, and the other one is like a few months old. Like he's still on paternity leave, I believe.
We're coming
But
back.
okay.
.5:19 on the clock. Griff says it's like 80 degrees out. If you're headed down to the ballpark, get down to the ballpark early. Me and Van, we're not there. We're making up for it, though. We'll be live from the ballpark, live from the lab next Wednesday and next Friday night. Come hang out with us then. Do arrive early next Wednesday. Van and I are throwing out the first pitches. Matt, you ever thrown out a first pitch?
Never. It's on the bucket list though, but I have no idea how that's ever going to happen. But that's awesome that your guys' baseball team is named the Isotopes because that's the name of the baseball team in Springfield on The Simpsons.
Yeah, correct. That is absolutely what it was named after. So whenever the Dukes made the transition to the Isotopes, this would have been 2003, I guess. Yeah, that's when the decision was made. And then ABQ Dukes, which, by the way, ABQ Duke, AlbuquerqueDukes.com, big sponsor of the program. Big thank you to they. We'll be live from the ABQ Duke store next Monday.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a cool lineage here, man. As far as AAA baseball, you know me, I'm baseball through and through, and I think I've been to I don't know, over 60, maybe 70 minor league stadiums or independent league or whatever.
Okay.
It's at or near the top, my man. It's like
Who are they?
Ice Hubs Park,
Who are they the affiliate with? Is that the Dodgers?
the Rocky, yeah, the Rockies.
Oh, the Rockies.
So,
Okay, that makes sense.
So and they're so incredible as well, and that's who had us out to spring training, and they treat us so insanely well. The Rockies have it figured. Yeah, the Ice Hubs are top tier, and they win some games. And we're out here. You haven't been out to Albuquerque yet, Matt, but at the time ever comes,
I have not.
We're out here at like 6,500 feet up in the air. Like the ball just goes.
Just flies.
Like it just like the pitchers come here to die.
Well, the next time you talk to the people with the Colorado Rockies, tell them thank you. Tell them thank you for Nolan Arenado. He's been tremendous for the Cardinals.
1,000th RBI the other night, and I didn't even mention it on air because that's not good for Rockies fan. It's a cool organization. Like and they do stuff with players that you're like, well, this might be the end of the road, or this might be closer to and they bring guys up. But right now, currently, we talked about this last night in the program, with the Rockies, there are 11 dudes who at one point have been an Isotope this season. So the Rockies aren't afraid to bring dudes up and have them contribute. So, so kind of a cool thing.
My parents have been to Coors Field, and they loved it. They said it was gorgeous.
Yeah, it's incredible. Yeah, the whole city of Denver does really well with sports. Speaking of, the city of Denver did well last night.
Yeah,
the Denver Nuggets over the Los Angeles Lakers, and that's after a full day and a half of sports talk radio around this country saying how the Lakers had figured it out, and the Lakers had the key to the Nuggets, and the Lakers were going to pull it out. But like I said last night in this program, take the 5.5 and take the under. Both of them hit. You're welcome, friend of the show, as the Denver Nuggets pulled this one out at home against the Lakers 2-0 lead. It feels commanding at this point, Matt.
Yeah, and I said last night that Anthony Davis was due for an Anthony Davis game where he was going to underperform. And last night, Anthony Davis, he underperformed. And LeBron looked old last night. He looked really old. I mean, he had a couple of blown layups. And I heard today that he has not made a three-pointer in the fourth quarter since the Memphis Grizzlies series.
He took three of them on like 3 straight series. I was like, what are you doing, my man?
He doesn't have the energy to get to the rack anymore like he used to. He's 38. He's been in the league for 20 years, and he went to the NBA Finals 8 years in a row. I mean, that is a lot of miles. And even though he's a physical specimen, I mean, right now, me, you, almost every male listening would probably plop down a lot of money to be 6'8" and 270 pounds of chiseled steel. But not everybody. Yeah, not everybody. Father Time is undefeated, so there's a reason for that. But let's talk about the victors last night, and that's the Denver Nuggets. Jamal Murray went off,
unreal
in the fourth quarter. He could not miss. And
37 on 11 of 24 shooting. My dude was a dude last night. 6 of 14 from the 3, 9 from 10 from the charity. I tell you what, if you think that you can stop the Joker, look at the rest of the roster. Like, it's unreal. You and I watched Michael Porter Jr. a ton in college too. I know he's got more than what he's contributing to this team because that's the role he's currently in.
Yeah, I mean, and he's had some serious back issues too. So you don't, especially when it comes to a back and a basketball player running up and down the hardwood, you have no idea how he really feels. Obviously good enough to play, but he probably doesn't feel like he used to whenever he was playing in college or even AAU or high school. But back to Nikola Jokic, there is not a more boring, fantastic player in the NBA probably since Tim Duncan. He's tremendous. He's amazing. You look at his stat line, but he has got like a 2-inch vertical. He doesn't play with a lot of flair or a lot of personality. He's got like the flat top, kind of like a Rocky villain haircut. He looks like the European boxer that Rocky would go overseas to fight to free democracy. But he's tremendous. I mean, his as good as he is as an offensive player, his passing is top notch. He's like Arvydas Sabonis. People who remember Arvydas Sabonis when he played for the Blazers, he might have been the best passing big man of all time.
I think he had 2 reverse cross eyes. He could see.
Yeah, he's like the lava lizard.
Yeah, Good word. And
Thank you.
The thing last night is the game starts off slow for the Denvers. The first 90 seconds or so, you're like, oh, the Lakers are going to roll it. The Lakers got hey, Fred, you're talking about 90 seconds. I'm talking about setting the tone of the game, friend of the show. Don't get it twisted. And then Jokic ends up getting like a putback offensive rebound, draws a foul. It's a little hook thing as he's falling away. There's no like, let's go, let's stop this thing. There's just walks to the free throw line, just walks to the free throw line. And I'm like,
it. I mean,
what are you doing, guy? Like, inspire me.
Yes,
inspire me.
He doesn't play with a lot of passion. He's kind of even keeled the entire game. There isn't like a real emotional leader for that team, unless maybe it is Jamal Murray. But the thing with this Nuggets team is that they are, when fully healthy, they are extremely talented. I mean, when you have Jamal Murray and you have Michael Porter Jr. and you have Aaron Gordon, I mean, they have if for some reason Jokic has a off night or Jamal Murray has an off night, this is the night that usually Aaron Gordon will take over or Michael Porter Jr. will take over and can carry it home. Now, I think we're going to see a different animal when the series shifts to Los Angeles, because the Lakers have not lost at home at the Crypto.com arena, and Denver has not been very good on the road. They weren't very good on the road in the regular season, and they haven't been very good on the road in the playoffs. I mean, they went to Phoenix and had some real issues in games 3 and 4, and then obviously finished off Phoenix in game 6 in traumatizing fashion for Monty Williams. But this Nuggets team, I can't see this Lakers winning 4 games against this Nuggets team. I just can't see it happening.
Well, I mean, if Hakamura's got to carry the team every single night, I mean, that's the problem I'm seeing. The problem I'm seeing is you got LeBron, who you just mentioned is a little more magic than he is Michael, and he doesn't have that, hey, I'm going to take the ball at the end and win the game at the end. He has the, hey, I'm going to facilitate a win, which, by the way, still equals a win. It's just that's not what this team needs in this moment. This team needs, like whenever you said, whenever Anthony Davis is doing AD things, you got to have a guy that can be a guy. They don't currently have that guy.
LeBron is still a great player. He just can't do it every single night like he did, 5 years ago or, obviously 10 years ago. I think what he's kind of doing is that he's saving that game that we all know that he can have, like he did in game 6 against the Golden State Warriors, where he had 30 points and what was it like, a bunch of rebounds. I think he was 1 assist away from a triple double. I think he's kind of saving that game until it is an elimination game. Either they're at risk of being eliminated or they're on the verge of eliminating the Nuggets. But because he just can't do that every night. He can't extend that kind of energy on a game 2. Okay, you won game 2. Now he's shot for game 3, 4, and 5 because he's 38 years old. So I think he's kind of reserving himself and saving himself for that game.
From the Sports Animal live chat, if you're not tuned in with us on the live stream, facebook.com/talkabq, youtube.com/talkabq, or go to talkabq.com, follow the links. Friend of the show, Joel, says the emotional leader of the Nuggets is Coach Malone. That's an interesting one to me because the NBA is a league. Yeah, this is a league now where players run coaches out. This is not
Look at Philadelphia.
We're going to talk about Greg Harden a little bit, and then he walks off. So it's does Coach Malone have that connection with his players? LeBron ran off a coach before. Like, does he have that connection with his players to where they're like, oh, we subscribe to this dude's energy, we're in? You know who else I think has that? That's the Eastern Conference Finals. That's Eric Spoelstra. I think Eric Spoelstra has that too. And interesting to me how differently you can design 2 teams.
Well, the thing with the Miami Heat is that they have an established pecking order and everybody knows it. Yeah. The pecking order goes Pat Riley, Eric Spoelstra, Jimmy Butler. That's everybody else falls in line. There's nobody else out there trying to show off. Everybody knows their role. Everybody goes out there and does their job.
You actually forgot on top of
the fact
Pat Riley,
that
I was going to say Udonis Haslem is atop of Pat Riley. He's
you're right about that.
Yeah.
So it goes Udonis Haslem, Pat Riley, Eric Spoelstra, Jimmy Butler. I think that the job that Eric Spoelstra has done cannot be understated. He's got 4 undrafted players that he has in the Eastern Conference Finals. 4. That's unheard of in the NBA. In the NFL, half the league is undrafted.
Right.
In the NBA, I mean, Jokic is a second-round player. You almost never see that, other than maybe outside of Draymond Green. Name another player from the second round that has gone on to do great things in the NBA. So the fact that Eric Spoelstra and the Miami Heat have 4 undrafted players, 2 that start and 2 that see regular playing time, and they win game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals is absolutely amazing. Now, I don't think they're going to win it. I think Boston's the better team, and I think they're probably going to blow the Heat out tonight. But the fact that they won game 1, they made it as far as they have, is unbelievable.
From the Sports Animal live chat, please join us on the live stream. We have a lot of fun with that. Friend of the show, Joel, says again, LeBron fumbled that dunk. He did fumble that dunk. Is that a moment to you, Matt? Does that feel like anything to you, or is that the ball just getting away? There's two conversations.
I think that's the ball just kind of getting away. I know Joel saying that LeBron tried showing off. LeBron's never really been a show-off dunker. I mean, he kind of does like the whole kind of side tomahawk thing or whatever, but he's never been one to like throw it off the backboard or do like a 360 or anything like that. I think a lot of like the reason why LeBron fumbled is that I think it's him just being tired. You're up there playing in the thin air. I don't care. They say it takes you a few days to get used to it. Yeah, but still, I mean, you're 38 years old. You've got 1 billion miles on the NBA body. I think he was just tired because there was another one where he made the steal. He had like an easy reverse layup, and he completely blew that one too. And I think a lot of that is just exhaustion.
Also, every moment he's not on camera, like if it's in the back or what, otherwise he's on an oxygen thing. Don't think he's not. Like,
yeah,
like
he absolutely is.
All these guys are going there. Griff, we're going to stretch a little long here. So to me, Matt, does Denver just start leaving LeBron open at the 3? Is this like Ben Simmons treatment for LeBron? Yeah.
Absolutely, I would. Yeah, absolutely, I would. I would be like, okay, we're closing off the paint, and go for it. Shoot the 3. And if you win the game because suddenly LeBron James gets hot behind the three-point line, then so be it. You'll live with the results. But he's like, 0 for 20 on three-pointers in the fourth quarter. In the fourth quarter, that's when you're the most exhausted. That's when your legs are shot. And if his legs are too tired to get to the rim, then his legs are going to be too tired to really make any of those jump shots. And the proof has been in the pudding.
Well, and then on top of that is whenever you're in the fourth quarter and you're worried about protecting, you don't really have to worry about the rim if Jamal Murray on the other end is getting you a point per possession. Yeah. Like it was a wild night. And also everything we just said, we're talking, it was like Denver rolled. They were in control the whole time. It was a thing. It was within 3 with a minute left.
There was. Yeah, it's not like Denver blew them out by 20. Mm-mm. They had to come from behind, and a lot of that was due to Jamal Murray getting hot in the fourth quarter. Now, if you're Denver, you can't count on Jamal Murray to do that every single night.
No.
But, you don't need to when you've got probably the best player in the world right now wearing your uniform, and that's Nikola Jokic.
Final thoughts on the series as it goes into the weekend, Matt. What does this thing look like on Monday?
I think what it looks like on Monday, I think the Lakers, I think they win game 3, and I think Denver wins game 4, and they finish it out in Denver. I think the Nuggets are going to win in 5. The Lakers have been playing with house money this entire time, and I think that the bill's going to come due here relatively soon, unless for some reason Anthony Davis just goes insane.
And you're saying that because now, like, every other day Anthony Davis is back, and he should be back on Saturday, and that'll be one for the Lakers at home. And then come Monday night, they won't be able to do 2 in a row. I could subscribe to that the way you're presenting it to me. I do think there'll be a national conversation, though, and this is stupid that I'm saying it. I do think there's a national conversation that'll go like this. The Lakers have them right where they want them.
Well, of course, they're the Lakers. They're the Lakers. They're one of the most popular brands, not just in the NBA, but in professional sports and probably the world. I mean, you could probably go to, some of the far-flung corners of the earth. You're going to see people there wearing, a Lakers shirt or a Lakers hat. People know who the Los Angeles Lakers are. They've won 17 championships. They've had I saw this thing where they're showing like all these clutch players over time. You'd be amazed how many of them were Lakers. Jerry West and Kobe Bryant and Kareem and Shaq and James Worthy. I mean, you saw a lot of purple and gold in that list. They're one of the crown jewels of professional sports. People are going to talk about them.
Well, there's a reason Fletch wasn't wearing like an Alex English jersey.
You're right.
Like it just doesn't track like that.
He was not wearing a Denver. He was not wearing a Denver Nuggets hat.
From the Sports Animal live chat, thank you to everyone involved. They believe it'll be a gentleman's sweep as well.
Yeah, I agree with Joel.
Whenever we get back from the break, Matt, we're going to preview the big one tonight. You're a Heat guy. We haven't really talked about that.
I'm a Miami Heat fan. Yes, sir.
You through and through are, and we will hit on that at length as we preview they against St. Louis talent Jason Tatum. I only make mention of it every time because our basketball talent kind of felt. Bradley Beal can go a little bit, but it's not the same level. It's a whole nother thing.
I mean, you got Bradley Beal. Is Ben McLemore? Is he still in the NBA? I'm not sure.
He's not. Yeah, he's not anymore.
But I mean, he wasn't. He was a pretty good player. David
Lee. Yeah, David Lee could go. Yeah, there was a bunch of St. Louis guys that went for long. There were some who didn't. Like there were some guys who should have. Like Larry got to the finals one year with LeBron, Larry Hughes, and you're like, why? Why is this happening?
That Cavaliers team was so bad.
The worst team ever. Up until this Miami Heat team, and Jimmy Butler is going to take them to the finals. We'll talk about that whenever we get back. It's 2 men on. Steph is at the John Lopez Real Estate in Coldwell Banker Legacy Studio. I was not able to start the day today with the YMCA of Central New Mexico, but I will on not Sunday because they're closed on Sunday mornings. I will on Monday morning as I will be back in town, and I'm excited about that to get back on my routine. Don't forget that we're live from the ABQ Duke store on Monday night. Come hang out with your boys. That's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to celebrate baseball and all things adjacent to baseball. This upcoming Thursday, I believe we're throwing Thursday at ABQ Axe, $7.50 off every single round of axe throwing that you want to be a parts of. We will be a parts of it with you. Do not forget as well that we're at Isotopes Park next Wednesday and Friday night. Come hang out with your boys. You buy us a beer, we'll buy you one. That's unofficial. That's from us, not the show or the station or the Isotopes. That's strictly out of Van's pocket. That is not an incentive for anything else. Also, we're giving away Post Malone tickets. We'll give those away on the broadcast at some point today. We'll come up with some sort of exciting tease, and we'll do that at 5 o'clock on the dot. That'll be a lot of fun as well. Griff, everything sound good on your end? Perfect. 2 men on 95.9 FM and AM 610. The Sports Animal. The time things got me messed up. All right, so we're off on the rundown by one segment, but that's fine. So we'll do Miami here. I really like basketball talk, but the audience doesn't super respond to it.
Really? What do they respond to? What do they respond to? Cowboys
only. Cowboys, Raiders, Broncos. It's a neat fan base because we have the university, and when the university is doing well, it's like an excitable fan base, but the university's not really doing well often. So
yeah. So their football team and basketball teams really haven't done much the past few years.
No, it's not been great. That Heat game's tonight, right? I don't see it on the thing.
Yeah, it's tonight. It's on in 2 hours.
Why don't I have a preview thing for it? Oh, here we go. Found it. I'm going to pull up the line and stuff. I like doing lines.
Yeah, I talk about them every once in a while too.
Yeah. You got anything to plug right now?
To plug?
Yeah.
No. I mean, I'm on with Charlie Tuna, but I mean, I'm kind of like would be competing directly with you, and I don't want to promote that.
Well, it's not the world of podcasts now. I don't care about any of that anymore. I used to care about that stuff, but I definitely don't. Ah, here we go. Are you seeing a 9.5-point favorite here? We're going to talk about this. Vegas thinks that Miami's just going to give up.
9.5 points, huh?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm seeing 10.
Welcome back to the program. We're talking about the spread off the air for the Celtics and Heat tonight. I guess in your fandom world, you call it the Heat and the Celtics. Does that matter to you?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Because I mean, it's been a good back and forth. I mean, during the Heat days of the mid 2000 or 2010s, I guess you could say early 2010s, the Miami Heat, they own the Boston Celtics, so I'm not worried about that. But then lately, it's been kind of like the Heat will beat the Celtics one year, then the Celtics will beat the Heat, and this year, I think the Celtics are going to beat the Heat. They should beat the Heat. They've got the better team. They've got the better players. The only thing they don't have a better coach.
Well, they definitely don't have a better coach, and they don't have my father, Jimmy Butler, who's out there doing that thing every single night. 6:30 start is that one tonight locally. It is at the TD Garden, and the first thing I do when I look at these is I look at wides, right? So the odds right now is Boston is, depending on where you're looking at, wherever you're putting your money down, either a 9, a 9.5, or a 10-point favorite against Miami. And what that says to me is Vegas thinks that Miami is content with getting one, and they're just going to lay down tonight.
That's what either that or they think that because, like I said, when it comes to talent, the Boston does have the superior team. So they just think that Jason Tatum is going to go off after having a completely horrible fourth quarter in game one where he didn't even take a shot and he had 2 turnovers. So I think they probably are just counting on that. And another thing, too, is that the Miami Heat, they shot, I forgot what the percentage was from 3-point in game one. I think it might have been close to like 50%. The Miami Heat are not going to do that again. They were actually one of the more lower scoring teams in the NBA during the regular season, and they didn't shoot the 3-ball very well, even though they have some decent 3-point shooters like Duncan Robinson, Tyler Hero, who's out, and he probably won't be back until next season. But I think they're just kind of thinking that the Celtics are going to get hot, the Heat are going to cool down. But trust me, the Miami Heat are not going up there thinking that, hey, we're lucky that we won game one. No, they won game two. And then they want to come back to Miami and finish it.
Well, and speaking of Miami, not thinking – Vegas is, because if the over-under on this one's 216, Matt, I'll give you an example. Last night it was 226 for the Lakers in the Nuggets game, and they came up short on that one. Not only do they think the Heat are going to fall by greater than 10, they think it's going to be an absolute blowout because at a 216 mark, you're not talking about any points in this one. And Jaylen Brown, who I don't think is as good as the NBA thinks he is, I'm not the guy who doesn't like really good players. Like, I'm the guy who supports talent. I'm the guy that supports guys who can go. But when I look at Jaylen Brown, I don't see a superstar. I don't either. He doesn't click with me that way. So, so with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, I guess they're in a position to where they have to at home make a really loud statement, and you would do that with a big blowout here because I think just eking one out is too much life for the Heat as they return to Miami.
Well, I mean, deep down, I think the Heat are going to tell you that mission accomplished. You want to go up there, you want to win one, you want to get the home court advantage back, and that's what they've done. Because the same thing happened in Milwaukee with round one in Milwaukee. They went to Milwaukee, they won game one, they got blown out in game two, and then they came back to Miami and won the next 2 games. So I think the Heat are going to be satisfied. I mean, if you win game 2 by 20 points and everybody's still healthy, everybody's that you deem important, is healthy at the end of the game, who cares what the score is? It's game two. This is a best of a best of seven series. So if you're the Miami Heat, I'm not saying they're going to go up there and fall back on their laurels. They're going to be like, who cares? That's just not the Miami Heat way. That's just not Heat culture. They're going to go up there and they're going to try to win. I just don't think they're going to be talented enough, and I think Boston's going to come out with vengeance.
So hear me out. They hit 16 threes in game one. I just go out and just chuck them. Just go if you don't necessarily think, if you for whatever reason are like, we got the one, we can do this thing at home. If you are of that energy, which by the way, I don't love that energy, but if you are, go chuck threes. Like when this team hits threes, they're unstoppable. Like you got the talent to do it.
If you're there, and just for some reason that hoop is starting to look like a beach ball, yeah, by all means. If you're hot, go for it. Go up there and win game two. I'm not saying you're going to go up there and try not to. I'm just saying that if they're not going to go up there, and if it's a blowout like midway through the third quarter, I can't see Eric Spoelstra going, okay, everybody, we're going to go, balls to the wall and try to win this thing tonight. Either going to be like, okay, we're going to maybe deepen the rotation a little bit, get some players out there, and then mission accomplished. Let's get back to Miami and hope South Beach will do their thing.
Well, you make that point, and I guess I didn't think about it that way, to where if there's 4 or 5 minutes left in the game and they're chasing, give me a real number, 10, 20? Now, 10's not it, but they're chasing 15, 20. Does Spoelstra pull his boys out, and then whoever comes in, and then that score or that total points inflates for the Celtics? Because that's where the money's at. I mean, yeah.
Well,
at the end of the day, I want to see a really good game. But at the end of the day, I want our friends of the show to come out a couple bucks ahead. And I mean, I called it last night in the Laker game. Like they were going to do weird stuff with their lineup, and they're going to try to hold the ball a little longer. And it ended up playing out that way where they didn't hit the 226, and it was within the 5.5 by a half. But Vegas doesn't make this thing that close on purpose.
So are you saying take the Celtics and the over, or take the Celtics and the under?
I'm saying take the Celtics and the under, I guess.
I would too.
And I don't love it. I don't love it at all. But if the Heat end up pulling it out and taking the 2-game lead on the road, well, what? You got a super entertaining game that you got to watch. And if it doesn't work out that way, your $10 parlay ended up being kind of fun. So
you got a little money in the bank. Yeah, I would too. I agree with that bet.
That's my thing right now, and we're going to talk the PGA Championship when we get back, but that's my thing right now. I need a little bit of juice on some of this stuff. It's Friday night. Like, this isn't Thursday night. Like, this is like if you're going to sit at home and make the time to do, just put $10 on it, figure it out, have a lot of fun.
Is sports betting legal in New Mexico? I don't know.
Casino. Yeah. So you can go down to
casino.
Yeah, any of the sportsbook partners of the program, and you can go down there and do that thing.
Okay.
But yeah,
can you do it on an app too, or just in the casino?
No, so the on the app betting in New Mexico is like the TikTok in Montana. Can't do it. Just can't do it.
The TikTok in Montana. Well done.
PGA Championship update. Oh, we didn't get a prediction. You have the Heat falling on the road.
Correct. I'm predicting a Celtics blowout. I'm with you. I would take the Celtics in the points, and I would go with the under.
I don't hate that at all. PGA Championship leaderboard and what we think is going to happen over the weekend. Do you want to talk Triple Crown at all today? I have zero passion for it. Like none at all. Like it's the Triple Crown to me is like the NHL playoffs. Like do not.
I mean, I have more interest in the NHL playoffs than I do the Triple Crown. But I mean, we don't have to talk about either one.
The guy at top right now was not on the top yesterday. We'll tell you who it is, and we'll tell you what changed from top to bottom. It's 2 Men On, 95.9 FM and AM 610, the sports animal.
How much time we got?
We'll have like 8 minutes.
Oh, perfect. I'll be right back.
Well, after a 2-minute break, we'll have 8 minutes or whatever.
Oh, so the break's 2 minutes? Okay,
I don't know. Griff, how long's the break? 4 minutes.
4 minutes? Perfect. I'll be right back.
Cool. Griff, how long is this segment? And oh gosh, that's tight. Okay, cool. Sorry, we went long on basketball. Get the real facts about the timeshare industry. Red Lodge is not the destination you think it is. What is it? Deer Lodge? What's the one in Missouri by Lake of the Ozarks?
Oh, I don't know. I don't even know if Steve is still there, to be honest with you.
It's a tight one in this one, and then it's 5:00 from the Sports Animal live texter 505-246-0610. Is that Van with a frog in his throat? No, that's Matt Berger joining us on the program. Van's not here.
But I'm wearing a Van Halen shirt.
Similar in
Does that
spirit.
matter?
Yeah, similar in spirit.
It's got a van in it.
The top of
I
the
used to drive a
leaderboard.
van.
Used to or usually? Because one of those things is creepier.
Used to.
Okay. That hack Bryson DeChambeau has fallen from the top of the leaderboard at the PGA Championship. It is now the prodigal son, Scotty Scheffler, at the top. He's being chased by that Canadian Connors, and that makes sense to me because Oak Hill East Course is basically in Canada, home field advantage.
Do you think it's home field advantage?
Rochester's Canada.
No, it's not in Canada.
It's like 5 minutes. It's like right there on the Ontario Ocean to Canada.
I think Rochester's probably closer to New York City than it is to Canada. I could be wrong.
It's on the water right there.
Is it really? Well, that explains why it's been so cold then. Because here's what the ironic thing is. This is the PGA Championship, which used to be played in August. And after they had the PGA Championship here at Belle Reve in St. Louis, and it was hotter than you know what.
Yes.
They moved it to the middle of May because the golfers were complaining about how hot it was. So they moved the PGA Championship to like early August or mid-August to mid-May for the weather.
And then they put it in Canada. It's in Canada. Hey, you know what we should do with the U.S. Championship, the PGA Championship? Well, I guess the U.S. Open's like in different places all the time anyways. But yeah, let's just throw this thing in Canada. It's fine up here. It's terrible. There's sideways rain right now. Bryson DeChambeau, who's a hack anyways, he has to hold his umbrella like the girl Morton Salt, like trying to protect himself from like the weather. Like it's brutal out there. It's not good golf.
What's with all this Bryson DeChambeau slander? I mean, does he owe you money or something?
He's got plenty of it playing in the Live. He's got all of it. He's got every single dollar, and no one knows if he's any good at golf because no one watches the Live. 0 people in the whole world watch it. So there you go, PGA Championship.
There's your PGA Championship update.
We sponsor a golfer. Like we sponsor a pro golfer.
Do you really?
I hate it. 5:00 when we get back. The week is over for so many people. From the Sports Animal live text. A lot of talks about sugar daddies. I don't know, guys. Not for me. 2 Men On 95.9 FM and AM 610. The Sports Animal. I got a buddy who runs a hotel chain.
Okay.
So he sets me up with all these like hotels every time I travel.
Mm-hmm.
This one is like a outside entrance one, not like an inside entrance one. You know what I'm talking about? Like
Okay.
it's like,
Yeah.
and I don't normally stay in these. And like, I feel like there's a ton of people walking by this window. I guess that would be inside of a place too, but I don't know.
How is Oklahoma City? I've never been there.
Give me an update when we get back.
Okay.
Van's down here. From the Sports Animal live chat, a lot of talk about how Boston's going to take it tonight from the Sports Animal text line, 505-246. Everyone likes Matt more than Van. Just kidding. It's that one guy who always texts about how bad Van sucks. He's saying right now, again, that Van sucks. This is Van's arch nemesis. We don't talk about it enough on air because you don't want to feed that demon. Matt Berger joining me, my former co-host from when we hosted the Heavy Hitters on 590 The Fan in St. Louis, Missouri. Matt, welcome to the Albuquerque Airwaves, brother.
Happy back on the air in Albuquerque. You guys had me on before. I believe it was a couple years ago. I think it was during the pandemic.
Yeah, we were because we had to get real creative at that time.
Yeah, everybody did. You had to get real creative. Lots of Mount Rushmores and how do we say baseball and what's your favorite sports movie? And
yeah,
who's the best movie quarterback of all time? Who's the best movie pitcher of all time?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, guys. What was the first game you ever went to? Like, how many times can you do that segment?
If you could pick one player to never get injured and their career could have been fully healthy, who would it be? And, lots of stuff like that.
If you could safely and successfully remove Ja Morant's knees and give them to Brandon Roy, how much better of a basketball player would he be? And you're like, this is hyper specific. This is incredibly specific. Weird.
Who's a better shot, Ja Morant or Larry Bird?
Yeah, that I love that one. Like it's and at the end, it ends up coming down to like a race debate, and you're like, stop.
Yeah, it kind of does. Yeah, you don't really want to go down that line. It's just kind of a funny joke.
Well, in the show you currently work with, our mutual friend Charlie Tuna, who's been on the air forever in St. Louis, Missouri.
Charlie asks me about you every once in a while.
Does
he? How's my boy Fred doing? How's my boy Fred doing?
Man, that is so kind. There's an inside radio, which we'll break down the fourth wall real quick. Charlie has been in the radio game in St. Louis, Missouri forever. And lots of guys have been in markets forever. The thing about Charlie Tuna black. And that is a big deal in St. Louis. Like he has been the voice of that community in St. Louis, which is so substantial in St. Louis for decades.
Like, he's been doing radio longer than I've been alive, and I'm 46.
Some of the proudest radio I was ever witness to was during the Mike Brown incidents in St. Louis, and when Charlie was on air. And Charlie was just the voice of reason for a community that needed it. Charlie was.
He always is.
Just stand-up dude, spectacular broadcaster, and the best Rolodex of anyone you've ever met.
Oh, I tell Tuna all the time. His nickname is Tuna. His name is Charlie Tuna Edwards. I tell Tuna all the time that he has at least 2 books in him. When he was selling shoes for Kangaroo, and that movie that came out called Air about how Nike was developing the Air Jordan brand. Okay, that was almost Charlie Tuna. He had Michael Jordan to go with Kangaroo. Kangaroo was going to come out with a basketball shoe. He presented it to the CEO or whoever the head honcho was of Kangaroo at the time, and that guy passed. So had that guy signed on, you and I probably would never have met Tuna because he'd be too busy partying on his yacht. We never would have met him. We'd be wearing Air Kangaroos. Yeah, that's what we'd be wearing. Good call, Griff. And Tuna says that he will never watch that movie.
It's too home.
It hits too close to home. He goes, "I will never see that movie." I go, "I don't blame you. I'd still be up at night, sick to my stomach about how much money I lost."
A crazy one to me about the nickname Tuna, and by the way, we're talking about a radio personality that no one in Albuquerque knows about.
Nobody.
But the thing, like whenever Charlie Tuna Edwards got in the game, radio guys used to have nicknames. Like nicknames have died in the world of radio. Like it doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, how many? Like you got Chris Mad Dog Russo.
Yeah,
I mean, there's a ton of Mad Dogs out there, or the Animal, or there's always going to be people that like, nobody really. I mean, unless it's like people call him Mike Greenberg, they'll call him Greeny. Or Colin Cowherd, it's the Herd with Colin Cowherd. It's a work play or a play on his last name. But you're right, no one has a nickname anymore.
Yeah, that it kind of died out years ago because it used to be, it'd be Slim and the Kush, and you're like, which one is Slim?
It's Cooter. It's Skeeter and Mudflap.
Yeah, and you're like, oh yeah, this tracks. This is 100% on point. Radio isn't. Because it's like a 360 brand now. We're on the terrestrial airwave right now. Obviously, we're streaming on every app that you can possibly stream on. We're live on the social media video feed. Like there's more to just your traditional radio approach that has been around forever. And then also
now everybody podcasts.
Yeah, everyone.
Okay, like at 590, like when you're going to an advertiser, you're going to the advertiser with your podcast numbers because it's expensive to subscribe to Arbitron and get your Arbitron ratings, but there's a lot of dispute on how accurate Arbitron ratings are because, Fred, you and I back in St. Louis, what was always the number one station? KMOX, the news talk radio station that had the Cardinals. Did you really know anybody that listened to KMOX when there wasn't a Cardinal game on?
Well, that's a good point you're making there. And
nobody,
no one. It's an interesting day and age as far as is how media is consumed because you can't tell anyone how to take it in. You just have to make it available everywhere.
Absolutely.
And
yes.
And the people that'll come to me and be like, "Hey, I love listening to you while I'm out working in the yard." And I'm like, "Oh, that's, that's really great." I'm like, it's weird to work in the yard from 4 to 7 every night. And they're like, "No, I catch up on you from the week." And I'm like, this is daily content. There's no reason to listen to this show more than 2 days from now.
When I was on Saturday mornings, a lot of people would be like, I'd be at my kid's soccer game and I would listen to you on the app.
Yeah.
Or, right now when it's, spring, summertime, I'd be outside mowing the lawn on Saturday mornings and I would listen to you guys. But one thing, and I'm not telling you anything that you don't know, you never know who's listening because Tuna would come in and he'd be like, he'd be out someplace. And the Cardinals general manager, John Mosaic, he'll run into Cardinals general manager, John Mosaic, or president of baseball operations. And Mosaic will say, "I listen to your guys' show every night."
It's pretty sweet. That's super sweet. Yeah.
That's not bad.
That's
not bad.
The one that got me the first time I was like, "Oh, this guy's lying," and then the second time I was like, "Oh, this is real." Is the mayor of Albuquerque? So the mayor of Albuquerque is this guy named Tim Keller. He's totally great. Like, I don't know if he's totally great, but he's a good politician. So anyways, I'll run into all this stuff, and he'd be like, "Hey, you remember that bit you did?" No, I don't remember that bit. I don't remember any bit from any.
You were making fun of him, were you?
No, never. I mean, he's a nice guy. Why would I? But I don't make fun of anyone unless like it's.
Bryson DeChambeau.
Yeah, Bryson DeChambeau. But thank you for that punchline. It was really struggling.
You're welcome.
But when we were doing the weekend show, I told a story about my bike getting stolen. And this is apparently the most listened to episode of the show ever. So anytime I go anywhere, there's this 3-year-old story, and people are like, "Hey man, I think I saw your bike somewhere." I'm like, "You did not see my bike. You were a liar. Like you were messing. Like too much fun, too weird. Fun little trip down memory lane for us there as we started the hour. Thank you, Matt, for that. Matt's going to be with us for the remainder of this hour, and then Josh Sushan will join us. We're going to go to break early because when we get back, I got to break down this Philadelphia stuff, the collapse in the playoffs, the coaching stuff. James Harden's going to leave.
Maybe.
I'm going to tell you this. Where he's going to land feels predetermined, but I think there might be a big curveball that no one's seeing coming, a curveball in the world of basketball, and I'll tell you what I think it is when we get back. It's 2 Men On, 95.9 FM and AM 610, the Sports Animal. Thank you, Griff. Cool. As of right now, we're gonna bump the Joe Burrow story. It's stupid.
Okay.
I had a tab with some James Harden stuff. Oh, here it is. Like, I love M&Ms.
Peanut M&Ms are the best.
Mm-hmm. That's what I got right now. Griff, I didn't talk to Sushan. I'm gonna send him a text right now.
Dude, tuna?
No, Sushan. I should send Tuna a text. This clean feed thing is pretty cool, Matt. I don't know if you ever mess with it, but
No, I like it.
I like this StreamYard interface too. It just works really well. Like, and this is like a $200 headset, obviously. But if you have like
Mhm.
if you have like a little bit of like a higher end setup, no one knows at all that there's anything.
Well, I
Not
had thought
perfect.
about, maybe eventually doing my own podcast. And if I do that, I would just buy like one of those microphones that goes right into the laptop.
I probably got an extra one of these at the house if you want me to send it to you for a while.
No, not necessary.
I got to plug my. You don't know this, but I got a license from the state of New Mexico to promote pro wrestling. So I'm like the only pro wrestling promoter in the state. So I
Oh,
started a
no kidding.
promotion. Yeah. So I need to plug my wrestling show whenever we get back.
What was your wrestling name? Fabulous Freddy?
Fabulous Freddy Fame,
There we go.
which I'm going to bring back for this broadcast.
What was that guy's name? Luke, who had Dynamo? Luke Bryan? Wasn't that his name?
It's on the tip of my tongue. I'll tell you right now.
He
It's
just
Rob
sent me emails.
It's Rob Magnum.
He just sent me emails every once in a while about like trying to get wrestlers on. I'm like, Tuna's not going to want anybody like that. So I'm like, dude, you're wasting your time.
His real name's Rob, but I don't remember his stage name.
Okay, is it like Luke Roberts or something like that? Something Luke.
Yeah, it's something like that. His real name's Rob Mangrum, but I don't know his wrestling name.
Luke Roberts.
Luke Roberts is correct.
Dynamo Pro Wrestling.
Yeah. I've been doing a lot of work with WWE.
Are you really?
Yeah, it's been kind of cool. They sent me to the Royal Rumble. They sent me to WrestleMania. I'll go to SummerSlam in Detroit. That'll be cool.
This one guy, he was like a friend of a friend. He had his bachelor party in Louisville. This was 2018. And he did a lot of freelance with the WWE. And then now he's with ESPN. He's a Sports Center anchor. And we bonded over Mean Gene Okerlund because I used to have Mean Gene on all the time.
Oh, okay.
This is obviously after you had left, but I had Mean Gene on probably like 4 times. So we bonded about Mean Gene Okerlund. I think this was after he passed.
Here we go. Welcome back to the program. Stop what you're doing. Go to dccwtickets.com. That's DukeCityChampionshipWrestling.com or dccwtickets.com. And you can get your tickets right now to next Thursday, May 25th. Doors at 7:30. Doors at 6. Bell at 7:30. It is the return of pro wrestling to Albuquerque, brought to you by yours truly, Matt. How excited I am to have an exciting night of Hobo Hank versus Charlie 50. Also appearances by Mosh Pit Mike, the Asin Warrior, Sean Ladd, Turbo Tony, Chewy Martinez, Thunder, and so many more. Come hang out with us at the historic El Rey Theater downtown. That's the 600 block of Central. You will see us because our name's on the marquee of the building. Come hang out. It's going to be a banger.
You are the biggest wrestling fan that I know.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Yeah, you have to be the biggest wrestling fan because it's not just like WWE wrestling. Like you like pretty much all of it.
Oh, I love it all.
If there's a wrestler, like if there's like a wrestling circuit that's at the local VFW, you're all about it. Like you do not discriminate.
I was just in St. Louis helping my dad, like while he's recovering from cancer, and I still went out that Saturday night to a pro wrestling show at the local VFW. I had a walking taco. It was a really good night. Also, that was the thing with wrestling in Albuquerque, Matt, because obviously you're still in St. Louis. Joining me on the program today, Matt Berger, my former co-host of Heavy Hitters on 590 The Fan in St. Louis. In Albuquerque, we don't have a pro wrestling promotion. Went to the state.
That's amazing to me.
There's kind of a lot of legalities to it. So I went to the state. I got licensed in the state. What's the verbiage I can use on radio that's safe? The number I have to get to put off a show financially is too high. Mm-hmm. Like there's just a lot of hoops. But anyway, I was like, well, I'm going to bite this thing off and chew until I choke. So yeah, so Duke City Championship Wrestling was born from necessity. And Inside Baseball again on this program, which we're going a lot today. We're selling bangers tickets. So people are coming out, and if people don't get tickets early, they're not going to get tickets. And that sucks because it's the return of pro wrestling at the historic El Rey Theater.
And Isaiah Johnson. I would imagine if there's not much of like this level of circuit wrestling in New Mexico, that there aren't a lot of wrestlers. So a lot of those wrestlers got to come in from out of town. Is that correct?
We're bringing a lot of guys in from Amarillo this week and some guys from El Paso. So it's gonna be a pretty big to do. Now producing the program, Isaiah Johnson, who just joined us. Isaiah, welcome. Isaiah, you should really consider pro wrestling. You're a collegiate football player. You got a good look. You got a good smile. You're a good talker. Like, what do I got to do to get you into the ring, Isaiah? Let's go. Matt Berger flies to town. He manages you. It's a whole thing.
Well, what could be his name?
Isaiah's name?
Yeah, his
irresistible his Isaiah Johnson, obviously.
Irresistible Isaiah Johnson. I like it.
He's a dime piece. Like, this is a handsome dude. He's chiseled.
So do we kind of like model him? Kind of like the late ravishing Rick Rude, where he's the arrogant wrestler.
Correct.
So he's going to come in, and Isaiah, I have no idea how old you are, if you even know who ravishing Rick Rude is. But you can go in there, you can grab the microphone and say, "Cut my music," and say, "I want all of you fat, ugly, beer swinging pigs in Albuquerque to shut your mouths while I take off my robe, so the women of Albuquerque can see what a real man looks like." My music. And then
you're going to tell me right now, if I create on air, the Albuquerque Adonis, irresistible Isaiah Johnson, and we put it on a robe.
That's the Albuquerque Adonis.
I'm telling you.
Isaiah, I think we're onto something.
That's new. That's newer school than Berger's familiar with. But
yeah, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Back to things that Matt does know about NBA talk. James Harden is an all-time legend. He got Doc kicked to the street, and then he walked the street right behind him. Maybe the most baller move of all time.
See, here's my take on James Harden. James Harden, he has really never been a winning player, and he never will be a winning player. That doesn't mean he's a bad player. I'm just saying he's not a winning player. So, and I said this for years about Carmelo Anthony, and he didn't really fully embrace it until the very end. So hopefully James Harden is going to be smarter than what Carmelo Anthony is when I tell him this. He needs to accept his fate and come off the bench. He would be the best sixth man in the NBA. Let's say he's like, you know what? I've got more money than I could ever spend. I want to win a title before I call it a career. And he goes down to Phoenix and he joins Kevin Durant and he joins CP3 and he joins Devin Booker and he comes off the bench. So whenever they need to spell somebody and they're either up by 10 or down by 10, and James Harden comes out there and he can do what James Harden does best, and that's score. You don't need to do anything else. You don't need to lead the team. You don't need, even though he led the league in assists this year, which is an anomaly for James Harden. But he said he wants to go someplace where he has quote unquote basketball freedom, whatever that means. So he can still have his basketball freedom and be the scorer that he is with Phoenix just coming off the bench.
The second he gets to Phoenix, he can learn from Devin Booker, because Devin Booker came off the bench at Kentucky with the weirdo Harrison twins.
You're right, he did.
And it's like there's a moment here. The problem with James Harden in this role, James Harden too old, James Harden too expensive. So James Harden is not a sixth man. James Harden is you pay him to play the game. He has to play 40 minutes every single night, or you're getting diminishing return.
Well, too old is a reason why he needs to come off the bench. Because if you're a bench player, you're not playing as many minutes as a starter, at least not normally. Too expensive, you're right. That's what I said, that he needs to kind of accept his fate. If he wants to be, one of the highest paid players in the NBA and just go out there and just play basketball, and then when the game's over, take a shower, head to the strip club and make it rain, if that's all he wants to do for the rest of his life, so be it. That's fine. Not everybody is. It's not a bad life. Then by all means, go to Orlando or go to Houston or go to a team that, really isn't or hasn't been a serious contender for many years. Go down there and do your twilight years, your NBA twilight years doing that. That's fine. But if you want to win a title, if you want to win a championship, if you want that ring, he needs to leave the NBA as he entered the NBA, and that is a scoring punch that comes off the bench.
He's going to win a title if he joins Dwight Howard in the Taiwanese league. They go straight to the top, cannot be touched.
You're right about that.
I watched James Harden play in college. He was at Arizona State when I was at Washington State. And it was obviously you don't know it in the moment as it's happening, but it's like he versus Klay Thompson. And then you kind of look at their professional careers if they've progressed, because they have progressed. And Klay Thompson, by the way, he don't shoot threes like he used to. Like that whole draft class is no longer relevant, which is kind of a heavy thing to say out loud.
Oh, I'd say Klay Thompson is still relevant, but just all the injuries have just caught up to him, and he's not nearly the player that he used to be. Now, he's got 4 rings. No one ever take that away from him. He's going to get into the Hall of Fame. I have no doubt about that. He has made more money than what you and me and Griff and Isaiah and whoever else may be listening to the show is ever going to combine in our lives. So, it's hard to feel sorry for Klay Thompson. But, James Harden, he's got a bad reputation now of being a coach killer, of being a malcontent too. Because when he was down in Phoenix, he got fat, got out of shape, got his way out of Houston, wound up in Brooklyn with Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant, and then didn't like that situation, and then forced his way into Philadelphia. Now he doesn't like that situation. Now he's going to force his way maybe back to Houston. It's just so strange.
He got Doc fired, and now he's dipping.
Yeah.
He helped Embiid win an MVP. He then carried basically the biggest wins of the playoff season. He then got Doc Rivers fired, and now he doesn't want to talk about it. He just wants to leave. And you're like, you're like, what kind of head game is this, my man?
Well, Doc's underachieving is what's gotten him fired. That's the problem with Doc.
You're being kind right now.
Well, that's what most of it is that no one has underachieved more than what Doc Rivers has. And I like Doc Rivers, but I can no longer say he's a great coach. Look at all those years that he had the Clippers, and he had CP3, and he had Blake Griffin and DeAndre Jordan. He had Joel's right. Doc screwed Doc. He's absolutely right on that one. So, if you were an NBA team, would you bring in Doc Rivers right now? I don't think I would.
From the Sports Animal live chat, join us at facebook.com/talkabq or youtube.com/talkab2. Friend of the show, Joel, says Durant, Westbrook, and Harden should form a super team.
Well, they had that in Oklahoma City.
Yeah, like it's been done. Like
it's been done.
And
it was so funny because when they were getting ready to play the Heat, it wasn't the 2012 NBA Finals. And, as it's been established, I'm a Miami Heat fan. And all I heard was the Thunder were going to kick the crap out of the Miami Heat.
Right.
And LeBron's overrated and D-Wade's old and Bosh sucks, all this other different stuff, right? And then the Heat beat the Thunder in 5 games or 6 games. And everything after that was about how the Thunder, they'll be back. They're young. They'll be back. Don't worry about them. They're going to win maybe 2 or 3. They'll be okay. And they never won one.
Never came back at all.
Never came back at all. They
shipped all their guys out.
Well, they traded James Harden to Houston, and then Durant and Westbrook, that just blew up. And Durant hightailed to the Golden State where he went to go win 2 titles. You can't really say that was a bad move. I mean, they was an all-time great, one of the all-time great teams. And then actually Kevin Durant, his career has not been great since he's left Golden State. Completely imploded in Brooklyn. And then, not exactly a great playoff performance by him this past year with the Phoenix Suns.
Well,
and he's
also
35.
Serge Ibaka had left that team immediately afterwards as well, and he was a big contributor. Reggie Jackson was not a head case at that time, so he was kind of like playing the game the right way. There was like kind of a lot of talent on that team.
And then they had that 2 guard who was a really good defender. He wasn't much of an offensive player. No, you're thinking of Nick Collins.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of.
But Collison. No, I forgot his name. He actually had a lawsuit against the New York Police Department because they mistook him for someone else, and I think they took a baton to his leg or something like that. And injured him. Cephalosha. Yeah. So they lost him too. Not every when you're putting together an NBA team, it's not like you need 5 guys who are going to be double-digit scorers. You're going to need the guy who's going to do the dirty work. And that's what Cephalosha did. He guarded usually the best player on the other team, provided the best player wasn't a 4 or a 5. And he wasn't a bad offensive player, but he was more of a defensive shutdown guy than anything else.
Well, they did it interesting with that roster too, because they went and got guys from a bunch of blue blood schools. So they had guys from they have multiple guys from Kansas. They obviously had Kevin Durant who played at Texas, which was unanimously that pick that year. But then they had the best player from Switzerland, which was Cephalosha, the best player from Spain, which was Serge Ibaka. And they were like, well, we'll just go and get the best young talent that we can get, and hopefully we can do it. But they couldn't do it. They could never really figure it out. Also, the NBA was different then. Teams were losing more games and stuff. It was you could be at the top of the conference with high 40s wins.
It wasn't there wasn't as much emphasis on the 3 ball back then.
Right.
The Golden State Warriors really changed that. Steph Curry really changed that. Where now, if you can't shoot, you're not going to play for the most part. You're going to come off the bench. If you can't shoot, you're not going to play.
Is it safe to say that James Harden will never win?
I don't think he ever will. If you're going to be a team, you're going to be like James Harden is going to be our top priority, our number 1 scoring priority. You're never going to win. You're never going to win.
He goes back to Houston?
If he goes back to Houston, because James Harden is 35, and James Harden's never really been in fantastic shape. It's hard to be in fantastic shape and still hit the buffet at the Spearmint Rhino, 5 nights a week. So, all that's eventually going to catch up to you. So by the time that the young talent in Houston is ready to ascend and take that next step, he's going to be on his last legs and almost out of the league. So no, I wouldn't say that he's a player that you can build around. He's going to be like the way Kyle Lowry is with the Miami Heat, because Kyle Lowry's 37. Kyle Lowry comes off the bench. And if you see Kyle Lowry when he's on the bench, he's got that one leg covered in 2 or 3 pounds of ice. So that's basically what James. Huh?
That's not wrong at all. James Harden.
That's what James Harden's going to be.
because the Sixers have his bird rights, which Isaiah, you don't know what bird rights are, but this goes back to Larry Bird. We could do a whole segment on it, not important. He can make up to 210 milli over 4 years with the Sixers, but the number's not that different. If he goes to the Houston Rockets, he can make 201 milli with they. Only 33. So there you go. I thought it was also.
I thought he was older than that.
Yeah.
But he's got the player option this year for Philadelphia, and I heard that he's going to turn that down.
He done.
And Joel's right. Lowry is a hustle player. Harden is not. And another thing with James Harden, too, is that there's a big history of this. At big playoff games, James Harden disappears.
I might argue that Embiid disappeared in their last playoff game. I might argue that he went out of the game.
Yeah, he did too. But, I mean, James Harden has definitely disappeared.
Right.
And Joel also texted about the Kardashian curse. Actually, James Harden is one of the few who avoided the Kardashian curse because it was which one was it that was going out with Lamar Odom? Which Kardashian was it?
I can't tell you the difference in any of them. I'm very sorry.
Okay. Well, whatever Kardashian was going out with Lamar Odom was going after James Harden. And they were thinking for a little bit. And James Harden was like, this is too much for me because we'd go out someplace and take a photograph and there'd be like 200 comments about the shoes I was wearing. He's like, yeah, you know what? I'm not doing this. And he ended it. So he was smart. He's one of the few NBA players to avoid that Kardashian curse.
I would put Houston in my top circle of cities in this country. I don't know if there's like a cooler, funner, like more to do spot in the entirety of this country than Houston. And I think if James Harden wants to go to Houston, it's not for the basketball team. James Harden wants to go, for the amenities. He wants to go for the accoutrement. He wants to enjoy the city and its 10,000 plus restaurants or whatever crazy number they boast about. It is the coolest spot in the country. I cannot state that differently.
And him and Ime Udoka, who's now going to be the head coach at Houston, I don't know I have no idea how that's going to work because Ime Udoka was a serious basketball coach. You can say what he won as a cheating husband or whatever. I mean, that's neither here nor there when it comes to how he handles a basketball team and his success as a coach. But I just cannot see him and James Harden coexisting very well. And he's the coach now.
Allegedly, the ownership is real excited about the idea of Harden coming back. And I think if you're a guy like Udoka, who you have a second chance here that maybe not a lot of people thought you would necessarily get, I think you toe the company line. I think.
You have to. What are you going to do? Because there's a history of James Harden. For some reason, the owner, like you said, the owners love this guy. Mm-hmm. Daryl Morey, the general manager of the 76ers, loves him. Fired Doc. We talked about fired Doc basically for him, and he may walk out the door. So yeah, if you're Ime Udoka, you've got to find a way to make that work.
We take this one and we turn this one into the one that made the biggest mistake. That's Ja Morant. We'll talk about he whenever we get back because more people are weighing in. We live in a culture right now to where you got to be first and everything. You got to talk so fast. You got to do this thing. But there's always a handful of topics where people wait to take the temperature of the water first. And now that everyone has agreed that this is bad, all these people are coming out and talking about it. And I'm going to give you a little bit more of my opinion on Ja Morant. And mine hasn't changed. I'm still oppo basically everything. But now it's coming from people with bigger microphones than me. It's 2 Men On, 95.9 FM and AM 610, the sports animal. Good job, Isaiah. I gotta go pee. I'll be right back. Including the 5 ways. All right, we say John Morant. John Morant.
Ja Morant.
Ugh. There are worse jobs in the world than this one, Matt.
Much worse. Much worse.
I was hanging out with Ben Boyd at the Cardinals game a couple weeks ago. He took me up in the broadcast booth. We were doing a bunch
Oh,
of stuff.
yeah?
And
I haven't seen Ben Boyd in a long time.
Yeah.
You're breaking up on me. Are you there?
Sorry, I lost you for a second. Yeah, sorry. So he's running. I think I lost you for a second. I'm sorry.
You've been
I'm
breaking
going
up
off
a
my-
lot.
Is it better now?
I only heard like half of that story.
All right, hold on. I'm gonna try to disconnect and reconnect. Isaiah, put another commercial in real quick. I'm gonna take a second. All right, let's see what happens here.
Yep. I hear you.
I'm back.
There you go. So what about Ben Boyd?
Oh, so he's running St. Louis Cardinals radio now. He left KMOX.
Ben Boyd is?
Mm-hmm.
The guy who used to be for Hot Shots?
I don't know about that. He was running KMOX forever.
Oh, okay. I'm thinking of someone else.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry. The he's the guy I go to when I was in St. Louis, when I was doing stuff with Roderick when we would go to the Super Bowls, he was that guy that was setting all that stuff up.
Okay.
But anyway, so he had me up in the broadcast booth on 2 Saturdays ago for the Cardinals game, and we were talking about just like the landscape of radio in St. Louis, because I was like, hey man, my dad's getting sick. Like, I don't know what I'm gonna do with my life. Like, do I need to think about St. Louis? Do I need to whatever? And he's like, I feel like it's wide open. And I was like,
yeah.
Don't say that to me.
Well,
I love Albuquerque.
Like, people are getting old.
Oh, here we go. Hold on. We're back. Hey, as soon as Isaiah steps in, he's going to play this song every time. The Albuquerque Adonis, Isaiah Johnson, back at the studio. Such a good nickname.
That is a good nickname.
It makes it hard to be a bad guy, though. Like in pro wrestling, if you're the name of the city you're from. Right. Yeah, we need you need to be from like hated El Paso. Like we need to figure out like
Santa Fe. Is there Santa Fe Albuquerque?
No one hates Santa Fe. It's so okay. Santa Fe is so soft and little brother. Like it beautiful and historic Las Vegas, New Mexico, home of your New Mexico Highlands Cowboys. Ooh, I don't hate that.
I think we should stick with the arrogant. So it should be irresistible Isaiah Johnson.
I think that's correct. Now, from the Sports Animal live chat and Isaiah's future wrestling persona, Rio Rancho was suggested, and this is a good suggestion because if you're from like the ravishing Rio Ranchian Isaiah Johnson, there's something there because you know how Albuquerque and Rio Rancho hate each other. Matt, this is like the Metro East in St. Louis. Like this is an unnecessary rivalry. This is like West County and Arnold. Like, there's no reason all these people should be fighting with each other, but they do for no reason.
Here we go and down we're breaking the fourth wall. For people who don't know in Albuquerque, and none of you would other than Fred, Arnold is not exactly known for having the brightest citizens in the world. No. So there was this radio station that used to do this thing called Arnold versus the World, where they would have someone from Arnold call in. And then they would just try to get a hold of anybody in the world. Didn't matter where they were in the world. Could be somebody in Italy, Ethiopia, China, and found someone that spoke English. And they would have like a general knowledge trivia question on who would win because it's Arnold versus the world. And everybody from Arnold would lose every single time.
Every single time. Arnold is crazy. The entire city doesn't have sidewalks. Like,
you're right.
Like, what are you doing, guys? Like, just take the effort. Give people a place to walk. Like, I'm not
every time. Like, it's like I'm single. Everybody like, hey, I know this girl. Where's she from? Arnold. I'm not interested.
Oh no, miss me.
Pass.
It's like if the Ozarks could sneak into the city somehow. Like
that's a good way to put it. If you could condense the entire Lake of the Ozarks into one. Municipality, it's going to be Arnold.
Hyper specific St. Louis radio talk from me and my former co-host of the Heavy Hitters, Matt Berger, is joining me on the program as Van is on assignment today in Denver. Little Birdie told me Van was trying to get into the basketball game last night between the Nuggets and the Lakers. I do not know if he did, and if he did, I do not know if he survived because I haven't heard from him today. So
you never know.
Congratulations. Yeah, congratulations to he. All right, so I've been talking nonstop for days. I'm like, Ja Morant has got to catch the proverbial hands of the NBA. They have to come down on him. And here's what I think it's going to end up being. And this is not an original thought. Well, it's an original thought for me. But the regurgitation of this one is from Tim McMahon from the Basketball Illuminati podcast. That's an ESPN product. Mm-hmm. So he says the problem is he's now being told by NBA agents that this is going to affect the money as a whole for everyone because there's a belief that marketing dollars are not going to want to go towards the NBA because they've sullied their reputation yet again. And maybe a lot of advertisers felt like, hey, it's the NBA. They're going to screw up again. Matt, it's kind of been like 20, 25 years since there was a quote-unquote gun culture in the NBA. Is gun culture back in the NBA? And is the mighty dollar going to be what stops that return?
Well, I think that there are more NBA players who are part of gun culture than what we know about. They're just not dumb enough to go on Instagram Live and tell everybody about it. And that's what Ja Morant's problem is. Ja Morant is a little like Aaron Hernandez, I think, where he's kind of like he wants to be a gangster, but he also wants to be a basketball player too because that pays a lot more money than what being a gangster does. I think that he has a complete and total lack of self-awareness. I think he's got some bad people around him. Now, I'm not talking about like criminals. I'm just talking about people who don't have his best interests at heart. Kind of like the same thing with Michael Vick and all of his cousins who were running that Bad News Kennel up in Virginia, where people were like, maybe this is a bad idea. Like no one's saying you got to give up your gun or get rid of your guns, but just don't be whipping it out on Instagram Live when we're driving down the highway. Maybe not do that, or maybe not pull it out when we're at a strip club after after a game in Denver. Maybe not do that. So, like the NBA already kind of, and it's done a lot to kind of squelch that reputation of a quote unquote thug league or a gangster league. They've done a lot to squelch that. I mean, the NBA, you see their superstars on commercials all the time. How many times do you see Steph Curry in a commercial? How many times now are you seeing Jason Tatum now in commercials? LeBron is always in a ton of commercials. Shaq hasn't played in how many years? Every other commercial has Shaq in it. Mm-hmm. So, like Ja Morant, he's screwing up generational wealth. I mean, the amount of money that he can make, there are going to be generations of his family that he's never going to meet who are going to benefit from what he's doing right now, and he's fumbling the bag. I mean, there's no other way to put it.
From the Sports Animal Live texter, 505-246-0610, what Adam Silver should do is make him an example so that no one else ever does it again. That's an interesting one, because the other side of that argument comes from the Sports Animal Live chat on the live stream. Friend of the show, Joel, says the NBA is going to use Ja as a martyr because the upcoming CBA and salary cap rules are coming up. And that ties back to our original conversation with James Harden last segment, where you're going to end up, I think, with a number that is smaller than what the number used to be salary cap wise. But I don't think that's the conversation. The conversation is sponsor dollars.
Well, Isaiah, check on this for me, please. I'm pretty sure the CBA is done.
Done?
I think it's done. I'm almost certain that it's done. So I don't think this is going to have any kind of effect on the CBA. Now, what is this going to have? Like, what are you saying about NBA agents saying this is going to have an effect on everybody?
It is presented. It is presented as complete. There's a vote, but it looks like you're correct.
Okay, so
yep,
it's done. Okay, so this shouldn't have any kind of effect on the CBA, but is it going to have any kind of effect on the public image of the NBA as a whole? And this is where I think you're right, where Adam Silver needs to maybe come down. I wouldn't suspend him for half the season. I would say 25 games is probably a pretty good suspension. I don't know if I would suspend him any longer than that, because to kind of like paraphrase JJ Redick, he didn't break any laws. It's a bad look. And just because it's not illegal doesn't mean it's not wrong. If you're a kindergarten teacher, can you have an OnlyFans page?
Yes.
You can't. You get fired. If you're a kindergarten teacher.
Sorry, I didn't understand the question. Yeah. And the premise you're talking about, that's correct. Yeah.
If you're a kindergarten teacher, there is nothing illegal with you having an OnlyFans page. You're not going to get tossed in jail. Now, you'll get fired, and you'll more than likely never get hired again as a teacher once they do a quick Google search about you, because you're going to make the news. This school district fired this teacher because she had an OnlyFans page. You're never going to work again unless you change your name. Well, but what you're doing is not illegal, but it is wrong.
To a much lesser extent, I'm talking like insanely lesser extent. I don't go out past, I don't stay out past midnight. And that's not because I don't enjoy staying out past midnight. I like drinks and libations and fellowship. I love all the things that come along with that. What I don't want is the trouble that comes along with it, because in my job of this public persona sports talk radio show, my job broadcasting at New Mexico Island University, my job on the director of the board of directors of the YMCA.
You have more to lose.
There's too much to lose.
Yeah. And that's what Ja Morant's friends don't get. Ja Morant has everything to lose when it comes to this. They don't have anything to lose. If Ja Morant, fumbles the bag, and he doesn't get the next contract extension, and he doesn't get the big Nike shoe deal, and I think Powerade was going to come out with a new ad campaign featuring him. If he doesn't get all of that money, that doesn't affect him. That affects Ja Morant. So I remember when LeBron James was drafted in 2003, Charles Barkley goes, "LeBron, I'm going to give you some very free advice right now. Learn the word no. No, I will not help you start a business. No, I will not help you start a record label. No, I'm not going to help you become a rapper or an actor. You need to learn the word no. Ja Morant needs to learn the word no."
The last thought on this thought is, you and I grew up in St. Louis, Missouri. Also growing up in St. Louis, Missouri was a cat named Darius Miles. We've talked about Darius Miles at length on programs that were based out of St. Louis. We're going to talk about him right now. His problem was he never got out of East St. Louis.
Correct.
The difference with John Moran is John Moran didn't come up in East St. Louis.
No, he didn't.
This is a by choice. This is not his environment. He is playing pretend.
Yes. That's the thing that I don't understand. It's not like he grew up, in a really bad area of South Carolina, with, look at Jimmy Butler. No one had more of a rough upbringing than what Jimmy Butler did. You don't see Jimmy Butler out there waving a gun on Instagram Live or at a strip club. And what's Jimmy Butler doing? Jimmy Butler's in the Eastern Conference Finals again. Jimmy Butler is in quite a few commercials. He's in those Miller Ultra commercials. You see him all the time when you're watching an NBA game. Jimmy Butler's got a pretty good life where he's making a lot of money, and he seems to be pretty happy about it. He doesn't need to show everybody what a gangster he is. Like John,
you know what he did? He showed people how good he was at making cappuccinos. It took over the internet.
Yes,
figure it out.
Right. And the whole Rachel Nichols thing. Not bad.
Well, I mean, good for who's getting it. That's how I feel.
Well, I think Rachel Nichols probably enjoyed herself.
Rachel Nichols she's not. What's the best way to say this without saying this? Hey, good get. That's it. It's not a mountaintop.
If you were to text me, Matt, you're never going to believe what happened. I hooked up with Rachel Nichols. I would be calling you on the phone going, my boyfriend, look at him. Look at my boyfriend.
Growing up in St. Louis, Missouri, like pretty redheads, not hard to find.
You're right about that.
They're in abundance.
Just go to Dogtown where all the Irish girls are.
We wrap up the program with Matt Berger when we get back. Today's I-9 Varsity. The I-9 Varsity of terrific art, terrible artist. We'll hit on that, and then Josh Sushan will join us at 6 o'clock before we hand this one over to he and the Isotopes Broadcast Network for tonight's baseball game. It's 2 Men On, 95.9 FM and AM 610, the Sports Animal. Cool. So it's however you interpret it, Matt, but
okay.
Yeah, just come up with like something close to people who make like good content but are terrible people.
Okay.
Like my number one will be Donald Trump. Like
I do too, but you know what? Like even like rap culture does. I mean, like, and I'm not someone who is a regular listener of rap music, but even that kind of seems like it has gone away from like the NWA, Ice Cube, Snoop Dogg. Like, look, Snoop Dogg was once on trial for murder,
right?
And now he's in almost as many commercials as Shaq. He's in a ton of commercials. Snoop's beloved. Who doesn't love Snoop?
The story right now in music is Lil Uzi Vert going by they, them, and having an alternative persona called Lucy who wears a blonde wig. Like, it's a different game.
Yeah, you're right.
Here we come.
And like, it's...
Here we go. Creeping up on 6 o'clock. Head down to Isotopes Park, watch baseball. Go home, watch basketball. Heck, turn everything off. Go outside, rub some grass. I don't care what you do. Enjoy the start to your weekend. Today's I-9 Varsity, this is a good one. Today's I-9 Varsity is the I-9 Varsity of terrific art, terrible artist. League Office 280 at i9sports.com, 505-312-4999. Currently taking registrations for soccer and basketball and cheerleading and volleyball and every single sport that can be a sport, and they play all over town, and it's one night a week. You practice and you play during the same morning. It's the best situation ever. Here we go. I'll lead off, boys. So this is, you make terrific art, but you're a terrible person as an artist, okay?
Okay.
All right. So to me, the most entertaining person on the entirety of this planet is Donald Trump. I cannot go a single day without trying to figure out what's going on in the world of 45. 45 is equally traumatic as he is entertaining. Give me Donald Trump at the top of the list. I got Donald Trump on my list of artists who are just absolutely terrible and absolutely terrific at the same time.
Okay, I'll go with one that I stated earlier, and that's Ted Nugent.
Yes.
I mean, he is an absolutely vile human being, in my opinion. But if I hear Stranglehold or if I hear Cat Scratch Fever, I'm turning it up. I've got no problem with any of those songs. If I hear that opening rip, the Stranglehold, I'm going to say hell yeah, and I'm turning it up. I'm going to be like, yeah. Ted Nugent, terrible person, terrible.
Go get it. That's what I would say. Also from the Sports Animal live chat, Michael Jordan, no, absolutely no. Don't agree. Isaiah, what do you got? Is he a bad dude?
Ask Troy Aikman. Troy Aikman hates Skip Bayless. Hates him with a passion.
I don't hate. Maybe they started a Whataburger chain and it fell through. I'm going to go with another one.
This is what happened with Troy Aikman and Skip Bayless. Skip Bayless just floated it out there that Troy Aikman might be gay.
Oh, he shouldn't have done that.
And this was like, a couple decades ago where that was like a real offense to men. Like right now, if you're offended by that, everybody like, what's the matter? You got something against gay people? But back then, you call any straight man, you know what? I think he might be gay. I mean, that was a reason to step outside and throw down.
Ooh wee. Too much for me in that action. I'm going with, because I like this work of art. The work of art is the Declaration of Independence, written by Thomas Jefferson.
Good one.
Now, if you're not familiar with Tommy Jefferson, he's not that dog. He is just not at the top of everyone's example for the class. So give me Thomas Jefferson and the Declaration of Independence.
Okay, I got a good one.
Yeah.
Leonardo DiCaprio.
Oh, okay.
Fantastic actor. Great actor. He's in some of my favorite films. I get a feeling he's probably a bit of a scumbag when it comes to, women. Like as soon as you hit 24, you're out of there.
I believe that
Joe Lovano got a good one. Bill Cosby.
That's a good one. Put it on the list. Isaiah, you got a last
Roman
one?
Polanski.
Oh, that's a super. Isaiah doesn't even know who that is. Isaiah, we're cutting yours short because we got to say bye to Matt. Matt, final words today?
It was fun, gentlemen. Hope to do this again soon.
Everything about you was perfect in every single way.
Albuquerque, I love you.
Thank you for the reuniting. Whenever we get back, Josh Sushan will join us. We're going to talk about the Isotopes baseball game tonight, and we'll do a little Major League Baseball roundtable. Big round of applause for Matt Berger on the way out. Save the day on a Friday. The heavy hitters reunite one night only. 2 men on 95.9 FM and AM 610. The Sports Animal. Thank you. Good job, bro. You're the best, brother.
See you.
Isaiah, will you make sure he clears? Okay, and it looks like we're on a rain delay. Just heads up. Welcome back to the program. Welcome back to Two Men On. Joining us on the Sports Animal Hotline, friend of the show, Josh Sushan. Josh, how are you, brother? Happy Friday, brother. What's going on with Jimmy Herron right now? Give me the update. That's so sweet. So sweet. So handsome. So you think that the Two Men on Drip is the sole reason that Jimmy Herron has ever received or even been adjacent to any amount of success in his professional career? I agree completely. You thought if there's someone out there who's like natural ability, like practice, preparation, effort, intensity, those people all wrong. Solely the Two Men on Drip. That totally tracks. And the and the hair. Is Josh Rogers warming up for the Isotopes? Okay. So that means this professional baseball game will not be starting at 6:30. Is that correct? Okay, give us the update, Josh. When is the Isotopes game tonight? Front. We've been battling a little bit these weather fronts for the last couple of days in Albuquerque. You know, I've been out of town in St. Louis, Missouri. I'm not seeing it firsthand. As I'm returning, does it look to be clear by the weekend? Is it going to be a weekend of beautiful baseball in Albuquerque, or do you believe it'll be more of the same? Right.